Let's go on and get started. So let's see. Risa, real quick, you're ready to move from the two-person into the other stick.
Okay.
So you're going to go from this stick back to the rattan stick.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be two-person.
Okay.
And it's going to be kind of like you did the stingy part of the two-person bag. It's going to be like that. So you're going to find the spot and then real quickly, 1, 2, 3, and there's just one right on the skin level. Want it to be really stingy.
Okay.
So like if you're hitting water, you just want to slap the water. You don't want to like hit and penetrate really deep.
Okay.
So it should be a little blissful, a little stingy. So we're going to go back to the stingy stick two-person.
Okay. And so then with that one, so it's kind of it starts off low intensity and then gets higher until I say I'm good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of firing, you're just keeping your chi right there, just like you were on the post. So it's like you push the chi there and then stop, stop.
Okay.
So that's what you're looking for.
Got it.
So, and if you can't find someone to train with you, then just do a little bit just to keep the energy in the skin.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Anybody else, any questions about their particular practice? Maureen, you need to start breaking some tiles pretty soon. So keep soaking. Jay, I'll get with you guys and teach you guys some new meditations. Uh-oh. Cool. Hunt, how are you feeling with your practice right now?
You talking to me?
Yeah, you.
I didn't hear the name, so I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I didn't hear that you called my name. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Getting 3 practices in a week?
Yep.
Perfect.
Everything is going good.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions,
including the weight bar and everything. That's good.
Perfect. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
I'm gonna ask you about how to put this friggin' door in the house. I know that.
You should have told me sooner. I would have come and helped.
That's never mind.
I like projects like that. Okay.
So on the my hand where I injured it, how far should I be pushing it for, as far as like, being able to do the grabbing or the smashing with it?
I wouldn't push anything. I would just let it feel like, test the waters every once in a while. Like, nope, not yet. Or if the front of it's cut up and it's abrased and it's uncomfortable, but the back of the hand's not, then maybe you can do some of the back of the hand and the chop, but maybe not the palm.
Okay.
But mostly just
as much as I can with the different forms and
yeah.
Okay.
All the meditations and the forms you should be able to do no problem.
Right.
Once you get the chi in the hand, it can kind of have a numbing effect to where it doesn't hurt. But as you go hard, you don't want to break open the wound. So best just to skip the physical. Play it by ear with the tossing the bag. The tossing the bag might not be that bad, but if it is, wait a couple more days.
Okay. I think it'll probably would be fine with my left hand, which didn't really take the brunt of the body weight of my fall. It was my right hand that sort of got more injured. But I did notice a significant difference after I soaked. Like it basically relieved almost all of the tension in my wrist and my hand. So
good. Yeah.
It's still a little sensitive. I tried doing push-ups today, and I had to like do them on my fist instead of on my palms.
Yeah. So give it a couple more days. It should heal up pretty quick. Yeah. Cool. Anybody questions? Practice questions? Everyone's doing well? Okay. Let's see, what can we talk about? I guess we're here for a reason, with the coronavirus and stuff. I got to talk with Dr. Zhang yesterday for a bit about a project, but in passing, we talked about, prevent to, and was it you, Ed, who asked about if you took the prevent and would you still get the antibodies? Or somebody Monday was asking if you took the prevent to and you were exposed to the coronavirus, would you get immunity from it? And he said you would. But it would still block the replication of it, so you wouldn't fully get sick, but you would still get the immunity from that exposure. But he also said he created a formula for that he only wants to sell to the students who want it, but it's an oil. So it's a blend of herbs soaked in oil that you actually put onto a little cotton swab and you put in the nose. So the oil, he says, disrupts the virus once again from replicating, plus the herbs that help with that function as well. And he says, don't trim your nose hairs. So keep the nose hairs there for a purpose, especially when you're using the oil, because the oil will stick to the oil, nose hairs, and then most of the spread of the virus is through the nose and mouth. So if we can block it through the nose with the prevent oil, so that should be available pretty soon. So he's mailing me some, so we'll see how it works. But putting stuff up your nose isn't very fun, but every little precaution can be useful. And he said he wrote an article in Chinese about Chinese medicine and the coronavirus and, historically with pandemics and stuff, how they affected China and how those are really famous herbalists and acupuncturists who did a lot with pandemics and outbreaks and stuff. In fact, the Chinese dumplings that we're all used to getting at the Asian restaurant, that same herbalist created them because he found ways to put the food herbs into food that people could eat to actually help kill off a lot of pathogens. So the dumplings came from that ancestor of his who created a lot of that stuff. But the way they looked at the pathogen coming into the body, you would have different symptoms based on where you were in the progression of it. So where there was like itchy eyes, tightness, sweating, no sweating, aversion to wind, chills, fever, sore throat, all these different symptoms would tell you how far the disease had progressed into the body, and people would have different symptoms accordingly. So it's pretty accurate, he said, in regards to treatments and stuff. And he talked about how in China there was a strictly pure TCM hospital treating the coronavirus with TCM, acupuncture and herbs, and then the Western hospital, and they had very similar effects. Like they were both very effective. So it was neat to see like the old traditional stuff being used in the midst of this modern epidemic, and they still worked well. So that's kind of neat to hear about. But yeah, when he gets that article, I'll share it when his son translates it for us. Any comments?
There's so many like hand sanitizers and the other products out there. Most of them contain all sorts of crap. Are there other herbal formulas or specific herbs that would be better to use for that?
Just washing your hands is plenty, but if you don't have access to water, then hand sanitizer works. You definitely want something above 60% alcohol. So if you want to go to the liquor store,
I just wash my hands, but it's more just say because I don't like all this stuff in it, right?
Right. You can go to the whatchamacallit, to the liquor store, buy some Everclear, which is like almost 99% alcohol, add a dash of water to it, and that should be good. When we were doing the clean needle technique test in school, we would just always wipe our hands with alcohol swabs and stuff. But yeah, the way you wash your hands is really important, and also, yeah, But herbally, I don't know. I mean, there's probably some stuff that probably kills it off, but I don't know of any offhand.
Does hand sanitizer work though? I'm not sure if that's really effective against.
It's really not that effective against stuff. I mean, you can put
Yeah.
sanitizer in your hand and then
Right.
don't move and wait 5 minutes and touch a petri dish and stuff is still going to grow.
Yeah. Feels like
Uh-oh.
hand washing's the only way to.
Yeah.
I also use thieves oil, which has a lot of, like clove and I'm sure you know about it.
Yeah, that stuff is pretty popular. And also about the masks and stuff. Most people wear it to try to prevent from getting it, but really you should be using it if you have it to prevent other people. Because if you don't have it and you're wearing it, the chance of you breathing it back in increases your chance of actually getting it. So there's a lot of misconceptions about, in Asia, traditionally, if someone was wearing it, it's because they're either using it for the pollution or they were sick and they didn't want to make other people sick. But here you're seeing everyone wearing it, and it's just like, well, it can actually, make it easy for you to get it the way the breathing happens. Like you breathe in that recycled air if your mask gets contaminated.
Yeah, I don't think all the masks are effective either. I definitely found out that the mask I was wearing at work this weekend was not effective. Like it just had like openings on the sides and it's a super, not effective. So.
No, I used to fix vacuum cleaners and sewing machines, and I hated fixing vacuum cleaners. But the big thing with vacuum cleaners is like HEPA filters. The crazy thing about HEPA filters is they filter to such a tiny micron that, well, it's a vacuum cleaner. What are you doing? There's tons of dust. So the vacuum cleaner filter gets clogged and it just blows air everywhere else. So it doesn't really go through the filter anymore. It finds little leaks to squeeze out. So they're really HEPA filter vacuum cleaners are kind of junk. So, but with masks, like you're saying, lots of people have stuff and there's too many air gaps and stuff. Yeah. But Apple just donated something like 9 million of the face masks. So that's kind of cool. That's crazy they had that many. But back to practice. Anything I need to know about? Any people getting practice in? They feeling kind of unmotivated to practice, or they feel like, wow, having this time, their practice is thriving. Anybody want to share anything?
I would say just with the kids, it's been such an easy thing for them to do this practice, this level. Like I barely have to even mention it and they're like, okay. They just do it.
Yeah, that was my thought. That's why I wanted you guys to go in the hands, because I thought it would be an easy one for them and be playful. And when you hit arms with them, like even after last time I saw you guys and I was banging the arms, it's like you could already tell how much has already changed in such a small window of time. So it's a neat measuring stick. So when you get a chance, hit their arms with them, and it's like you can feel how strong they're getting. And it's amazing practice. It's so cool to see people grow like that.
Stephen, what age can kids start?
I forget. I think like 7 or 8. Yeah. And kids, though practice is going to vary a little bit different than ours. They're going to go through more of the motions and not as much like the mental, but they still progress, and it's pretty amazing to see. So I'll have to check the actual guidelines, but it really depends on the person. Some kids are really, really mature and they can get it. I think even younger kids now are getting concepts and things much quicker at a young age than many of us were.
Our youngest, who's 5 and a bit, she's from time to time she expresses keen interest. So I thought, well, maybe I could do a kind of a kids version, kind of introduce her to a version.
You could probably just let her tap her belly and be playful.
Yeah, well, she's doing that on me at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wait, you just say she's doing that on the baby, or she's
On
doing
baby.
But I mean, one thing that could be useful is like, I'll double check the age, but we could probably just like tell her at this age you can start, so she has something to look forward to.
Yeah, okay.
Seeing you progress.
Okay.
Because Mark's daughter, Mark who does the Tai Chi, Ella, his oldest daughter, used to come to class all the time, and one day she's like, I want to start, but she wasn't old enough, and he's like, okay, when you turn 7 or 8, you can start. And she never said anything until her birthday. And then she's like, I'm ready to start Golden Shield now. So that was pretty neat.
I'm finding it's, with all this time on my hands, I practice a lot more.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I might make some videos of just playing on hands and just doing hand practice. It's a fun one to do. To log in some hours, just hitting the beanbag. But yeah, if you're finding trouble getting practice in, then schedule it. Tell yourself, okay, at this time, at this location, I'm going to practice for this amount of minutes, and versus oh, I'll train tomorrow. Be specific, and start to hold yourself accountable. Unless you have to do 2-person, then still do a little bit of 1-person by yourself, just to keep the energy warm if you haven't trained in too long.
What are the people that are 2-person practicing doing like right now? Are they just
Some are on 2-person fists, some are on 2-person brick, some are on torso doing the stick. So you can train someone on torso, and someone on torso can train, someone on Golden Shield. If you guys are open to meeting, together, then, I'm okay with that. If you guys want to come here, and I'll train you as well. We can wear masks and gloves and all kinds of good social distancing.
I'm doing it on myself at the moment.
Okay.
I've turned the brick. I'm trying it out with the end of the brick instead of the side, which is where I was.
Yeah.
And I'm doing like 25 repetitions in one spot. Well, that was the last couple of times. And that seems to be going okay. But of course, it's just me doing it. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's good because it's a new experience. It's something different than what you were doing before. But here in a couple of weeks, you'll start getting bored. And that's why we need a little bit of additional challenge and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
My roommate, I asked my roommate if she would help, and she I think she liked it a little too much. She liked hitting me with the brick too much. So.
And I mean, if you're living with people, then you don't have to keep distance from them, because you're all in the same household. So it's like households group, you stay 6 feet away from other groups. But if you're in the same household, you can touch each other and stuff like that. It's much different. So yeah, if you can get a roommate to train you, that'd be great.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's like if we're on 2-person, and so like if I'm lucky, I can get my roommate to do it once or twice a week, and otherwise it's just me. But like, is there a point where that's going to be detrimental that I'm not getting enough 2-person practice? Or
if you can get a couple of practices in a week and then do maybe 1 practice just by yourself, just to keep it active, that should be good. Yeah. Yeah. And then later, when you have time and you want to do more and you have the availability, if they're available and you can get 3 or 4 practices in 1 week, then, and next week you only get 2 or 1, then it's just like it kind of carries over. So,
Yeah, if I'm lucky, I get 2, just because with the kids, it's the scheduling is really hard.
Gotcha.
So.
I'll just say, so I did Golden Shield like 15 years ago. And you can get a lot out of practicing by yourself. Just saying. Not that the two-person isn't important, but I think that's awesome. If you practice by yourself, I think that's very helpful.
Mhm. Yeah, it reinforces the muscle memory and the firing and the timing and just building the density of chi in the belly area. So, yeah, you can get a lot out of it. Just even
Should
like
I just try going longer to?
you can try going longer. You can mix up the brick where you're doing like the flat side, the side, and the end, and just kind of find a way to just keep your mind focused and integrated. If your mind's like, oh, this is too easy, I've already done it, then you have to get creative on how to keep your mind engaged. But if you're disciplined, you can just do the butt end of the brick or the side of the brick and you can still stay really focused, then perfect. But it's just when the mind is like, oh, I've already done this and it gets boring, then you have to get creative on how find ways to keep your mind interested.
Yeah, I think the focus is just a general difficult thing right now. So
Then training would be useful because it's really anchoring and grounding. I have a friend who's done some of the Golden Shield training and it's been a long time. And I was like, just do some practice. And she's like, oh my God, practice was amazing. I'm not even concerned what's going on in the world right now. I just feel so grounded in my body and I have so much energy. And I went riding my bike with my husband and blah, blah, blah. I was like, wow, that's a huge 180 for her. And that was just from doing one practice in like 7-8 months since she was done it last. So practice can kind of help jumpstart your focus a little bit. If your mind's not focused, doing the practice can start to bring it inwards. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, there it is. I've missed you for a while. So, nice. Okay.
So how will we know when our body is ready to go to the next level? Like
I was just thinking that.
It really just depends on. I kind of need to see it because we can always sell ourselves short. Because if we see what's ahead of us, there's a downside to seeing what's ahead of you. Because sometimes like, oh, I can't wait to do that, and our mind wants to jump, and then we think we're further along than we are, and it's like, oh, I think I'm ready to go to the next level. But then sometimes the teacher can go, no, you got way more capacity to go further, to get a little bit more out of it, and then take you to a much, much higher level within that practice. So it's tricky. That's where, the role of the instructor is useful. Is like, if they're not training, find a way to get them to train. If they think they're done, but there's so much more room to grow, then like push them a little bit versus like giving them the easy way out. Like, oh yeah, sure, move to the next level. So it's like those are a lot of factors that are coming into play when I adjust people. So it's really hard to tell when you're ready to move on your own. But if you're getting really, really bored, then something has to change. Whether put a call into me, I'll watch you train via Skype or Zoom. I can make a little bit of adjustments on how you can get just a little bit more out of the practice. There's times when people, I know they're ready to move on, but they're like, no, I want to go longer. I'll let them go a little bit longer, but there's a point where it's just like, okay, I need to move you to the next spot. Because staying at a certain level without moving forward, you're putting a lot of energy into practice, but it's not creating much growth. Doing a new meditation and adding a new practice, you get more return on your investment, time and energy wise. So there is kind of a little bit of a plateau with the practice. So I'll let people say, oh, I want to go another month, then I might go, sure. But after that, I'll like, okay, we definitely need to move now. So, yeah. Having a different herb, having a different practice, having a different meditation just takes the practice to just a whole new level. Yeah. And it's amazing how those meditations can really change stuff. You really learn it on the advanced hands, because you'll do a meditation and then a practice for 2 to 3 months. But then you get this new meditation, it's all of a sudden, whoa, there's this jump in energy and what happens with the practice, and then the growing over that time period. And then you get this new meditation, and the function that comes out of those new meditations is just really unique and profound. So, yeah, one day we'll do the little showing all the YouTube videos of what not to do. You'll see a lot of the hardstyle Qigong people or the martial artists who just, they don't do meditation or herbs, and they just pound and pound and pound and pound. And they can do some really impressive things, but their hands are deformed. So it's just like, you know, where if they had a new method and a new meditation and higher energy into that practice, they could do things much more advanced without destroying the physical. So, yeah, if you just type in like brick breaking on YouTube, you'll probably find some people with like really deformed hands and stuff. So that's not what we do. We don't want to do that.
I saw a guy like that who did over years. He trained his finger to, I think it was like apply 200 pounds of pressure into one single point.
Yeah,
so
he was breaking a lot of coconuts.
Yeah, and yeah, he had exactly that. He had a deformed hand or finger or both.
Yeah. There was one where he's trying to break some record, and he was like jamming this finger into these green coconuts, and halfway through he breaks his finger and just keeps going for the last 3 or 4. And it's just like, yeah, I'm good. It's like, no, it's not. It's just like, oh, why? So one thing I like about this practice is that we do get to touch some of that stuff, but then we just go to the next level. We're just doing it just enough to build the foundation, to build the house up to where we can have a container where we can do more interesting things later. So it's never really about breaking, and breaking is just a side effect and a measurement of like how far we're progressing and stuff. It's never like, oh, let's see how much we can break. So cool. So no difficulties, no comments, no questions about practice. Good. Cool. Any questions about the meditation we did on Monday with the longevity meditation? Okay. Let's see. Any requests for meditation tonight?
So we do the orbit.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. We'll do. We'll gather our energy, and what we'll do first is, even though you've probably been home all day long, let's just still go in and gather our energy, because a lot of it with what's going on in the world, our mind's kind of scattered. So when our mind scatters, our chi just gets dispersed. So we'll gather our energy. We'll take in 3 morning suns so we have some chi to work with, and then we'll do the 9 orbits. So the orbits, we'll breathe into Dantian, and then we'll go to the navel and then go down the front to the perineum, and then continue to exhale up over the top of the head. Start to inhale, go down the front midline, back to Dantian. So it's just right under the skin. It's about like a finger width wide. And just use your mind to guide the chi along this orbit. So I'll talk us through it, but first let's just go and do a meditation just to kind of get centered and present. Okay. So go on and place your hands on your thighs or covering lower dantian. Rest the tip of the tongue to where it touches the roof of your mouth, just behind your front upper teeth. And just bring your mind back inside the body, turning the flashlights inwards, so shining the inner light. And just breathing deeply and naturally. We can imagine that there's a string attached to the top of our head that's lifting us up towards the ceiling. So you can feel your spine lengthen. Allow the string to hold you upright. So that way you can start to soften and relax any tension in your body. When the body's relaxed and there's good alignment, the chi flows very easily. And then with your next breath, follow it all the way down into lower dantian. Just behind your navel, about the size of an orange, allowed to get brighter and fuller with each breath. And now just bring your awareness to your skin. Allow the skin to soften. So the skin is very soft and relaxed, like the skin of a baby. The mind tells the chi to open all the pores. So keeping your mind and your awareness in lower dantian, just intend for whatever energy you've left throughout the day, whatever energies that scattered throughout everywhere, your mind spread out in so many different directions, just bring all that back in. So using your mind, inhale and draw back your energy from the day. Exhale naturally. And then on the inhale again, just keep inhaling. As you inhale, you call back your energy from wherever it's at. Each time you inhale, you just intend for whatever energy that's scattered around to come back to you. So your energy, you're calling back. So anytime you feel scattered or lack of focus or tired, this is a good meditation to do. Call back your energy, allow everything to reset. So now that we've collected all our energy from the day, let's add to this energy in lower dantian by taking in 3 morning suns. So just create a beautiful bright white morning sun off on the horizon. So it's about 10 a.m. in the sky. Use your mind and pull the sun to you. Feel the warmth all over your body. Open the top of the head. Inhale, allow the sun to melt into a liquid light and pour straight into lower dantian. And we create a second morning sun. Bigger and brighter than the first. Draw it to you. See it, feel it. Inhale, let it melt and pour straight into lower dantian. One last time. See the sun, connect to it, draw it to you. Whenever you're ready, inhale and breathe it straight down into lower dantian, mixing with the other suns. Close the top of the head. Let's squeeze and condense lower dantian just a tiny bit, making it denser and brighter. And then we can inhale into dantian, getting it ready to move. And then exhale, send it down to your navel and allow it to go down your lower abdomen, down to your perineum to weigh in. Continue to go up the back side of the back spine. So just under the skin. Up the back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head. Third eye. Inhale, draw it down the front midline, over your throat, chest, solar plex, all the way back into lower dantian. You can take an extra breath here. Breathe into dantian. Exhale, send the energy to the navel, down to weigh in. Sacrum and tailbone, low back, Ming Men. Upper back, C7. Back of the head, top of the head, just see the light flowing along this track. So you're guiding it with your mind. To the third eye, inhale, draw it down the front midline. So you're guiding this light with your mind. So it's going to be a little bit brighter at the front where your mind's directing it. Chest, solar plex, back into lower dantian. Take a natural breath. Inhale. Exhale, send it to the navel, down to weigh in. Tailbone, sacrum, low back to Ming Men. Continuing up the back. You can see light, you can feel warmth, you can feel the chi move, whatever works best for you. To the neck, top of the head, forehead, nose. Inhale, draw it down the front midline, over your throat and upper chest, solar plex, going all the way back to lower dantian. So you don't have to go back to lower dantian. It's just easy to do when we're leading it in a group. But we'll do 6 more at your own pace. So using your own prompt and try to move it according to your breath. So just do 6 more. And just open your eyes once you're done. So just using your mind to guide the chi along this track. Exhale up the spine, inhale down the front. So you're moving the chi, you're moving the light, using your intention. After you've done 6, you can bring your awareness back into lower dantian to kind of collect the energy there. And then just slowly open your eyes. So just take your time, move at your own pace with your breath and your mind. So there's a couple of people on the phone, so I can't tell if they're done or not, but I'm going to assume that they're done. So, any questions about that meditation? Anybody?
That's really, I find it quite difficult.
Play with it. Just do it more and more.
So having said that, I did find that this time I observed that I feel like it's off center, like it's
Okay.
like keep it in the middle. And also I found this time around, like the contours around my face was tricky.
Okay.
And it also seems to be not on the near the surface of my skin. So it's like these are, at least I'm observing that. So
that's great. That's really good to see. So if it's off center, but it feels like it's the natural way it wants to flow, just go with it. And just observe it over the months and weeks of doing it. See if it ever starts to course correct and become more centered. Yeah, I remember when I was in acupuncture school, and it was my first year, and I was observing. So usually when you're observing other students treat, you're supposed to be a fly on the wall. You're not supposed to say anything or ask anything. But I was looking at this person, and I asked the acupuncturist if I can ask them a question, and I asked them if this person was in a car accident recently. And because her aura was just like, she was just completely just shifted, and like nothing over here and everything was right here, and it's just like she was just crooked. And I was like, and she's like, yeah, I got hit this way and it jarred everything that way, and she was just kind of like stuck like that. And yeah, so it was just kind of nice to be able to like confirm, like, oh, whoa, that's what I saw, and that's what she was experiencing, was like all this pain, from the car accident. So that was kind of neat. So, but over time, it can start to shift.
are you saying you can see auras? Is that what you were?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I asked Dr. Zhang about that, and because we used to teach it, we used to show it, and not to like super high levels, but just enough to where it's like, oh, you can see something there. Like the physical eyes, we usually see this bandwidth of visible light, but really our eyes can see, just our physical eyes can see a little bit more than that, what most people use day to day. But then there's the third eye that can see three-dimensionally, all around them, X-ray through them, a lot more colors and stuff. But yeah, sometimes like in class with Dr. Jung, it's just like when he gets excited, his energy gets really big. And when I was in acupuncture school, my teachers would just read out of the book, and it was just boring because also their English wasn't very good either. So a lot of times I would just like ignore what was going on, and every once in a while I'll look up, and then their aura would get really bright. It's like, oh, what are they about to talk about? Because they're about to go off topic, and they're about to go off on something that they're really interested about. So it was always a good judge. It's like, oh, whoa, they're about to say something useful. But a lot of times you just have to look just on the outskirts, just above them, and you'll kind of see it.
Yeah.
If you've ever like in the summertime had a can of gasoline, if you look at the nozzle, you'll see the little waves and fumes.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like at the first stages and stuff.
Hmm.
So the walls at Castle Hill aren't really that good to use to demonstrate. It's nice to do it on a white wall. But maybe I'll rig something up one day and then we can show it. Because I asked Dr. Jung, is that something we can still that we can show? And he's like, oh yeah, we can do that. I'll have to check my notes because in that same conversation, he talked about a different way than he taught us a long time ago. Don't count me on this, but I believe he says you can do it laying in bed wearing black socks. So you wear black socks and you look at your feet and you look so you have that contrast.
All right. Yeah.
But you kind of want unfocused eyes. You don't want to be like reading fine detail. You want to kind of unfocus the eyes a bit.
Sorry, I was just going to say I had a practitioner in Australia. He mentioned something about that. I can't remember if it was glasses or contact lenses or both, that they can prevent you from seeing it.
I don't know.
Or interfere with it.
I'm not sure. I think you can train it to where you could. Yeah, there was a story one time Dr. John was talking about how one of his patients didn't believe that it was possible that they could see it, and that he just opened it for them, and it was open for like a week. I'm just like, wait, why did you do that to us?
He changed the channel.
he flipped the channel. He turned on the switch.
That's cool.
But the one time he came to the Castle Hill for class, I had asked him to come to class one time, and he talked about that, how a lot of times we want these high-level functions, but when you really have them and you have them at a high capacity, sometimes it's not pleasant. It's kind of a burden to where like, it's like, oh, you can see through walls and stuff. Like it's hard to turn some of that stuff off. So, we have to be careful what we kind of wish for too, because as you do get sensitive, it can be uncomfortable because it's overstimulation. Over a year ago, I was going through a phase in the training where I was highly, highly sensitive to light. It was really annoying. And then it became sense of smell. And it's like everything I could smell like a dog from really far away. And that was unpleasant too. So having that hypersensitivity and that stuff can be useful at times, but it's good to learn how to turn it off too. Yeah.
I had an acupuncturist who could see auras, but he said he wished he could just turn it off. He'd rather not have it because it was too much all the time. He'd like walk down the street and see everyone, and he's like, I don't want to know.
Yeah. I remember one part of the training, like towards the end of torso, I just remember like being in the airport and it was like super, super uncomfortable because everywhere I looked, whoever I looked at, I could feel everything that was going on inside that person. And that's not a comfortable thing. It's kind of nice to, turn it off sometimes.
I have a question about the meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason that we do the exhale and inhale in the directions that we do? Because it almost seems a little counterintuitive to me. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like I want to be inhaling up and like exhaling down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's talked about that many of times, that most systems, when they do it, they do reverse the breathing. But for us, because of the practice, we actually have a lot of chi to work with. So when we're actually doing it, we're actually moving a lot. So it's for some people, it's like they need to do whatever it takes to get the energy up there, but also once they get up there, they usually can't get it down. So he wants us to exhale up and then inhale down. So also that section is a little bit longer, you know. So if we were to go from the perineum all the way up over the head to here, and then from here to the belly, that's a shorter distance. So if we elongate the exhale, there's a lot of valuable stuff to that. Like it can really affect the vagus nerve tremendously by exhaling longer than you inhale. So I think that's another piece that he wanted to accentuate. But usually it's pretty easy to move the energy, you know, almost like sucking a straw. So inhale, you can feel like it can suck up. So, or you can inhale and like suck it down. But yeah, if you do it in other systems, they reverse the breathing. And then when we do the other large orbit where we go through the legs, then we'll go inhale down the front legs, exhale the back of the legs to Ming Men, then we inhale up the spine, exhale down. So with that one, you're inhaling from the tailbone up. So each one's a little bit different. Yeah.
I don't think we've done the legs. At least I haven't done the legs.
We haven't done that. We've done the one where it goes through the arms. So maybe Monday we'll do the standing one where we do the large orbit and it goes through the legs. So if you guys remind me, that'll be a fun one to do.
Okay.
But the reason I stacked those 3 meditations together, you can do them individually. It's useful to collect your energy throughout the day, to suck it in and reset, and then you feel yourself back up. That's a standalone meditation. Taking in the 3 morning suns is a standalone meditation. But doing that meditation without chi or not active chi, it can feel like a little hard. So, you know, when you're really in your practice and you have lots of energy, this meditation gets a lot easier to do. Lots of people have tried to do this meditation. They say they don't feel anything for years, but just play. Give yourself a little bit of freedom to play and not be so outcome driven, and just acknowledge and see what you sense. Some people say, oh, it's like I see it and then it disappears and then it pops back up again. That's a pretty common thing. Or some people don't see it, but they can feel it. Or some people they feel warmth moving through. So don't let other people's experience be yours. Just be open to like what works best for you, and just observe and see what you can sense. Yeah. Anything else? Okay.
Yes. So today I noticed I could see on the stick that I'm training with, I could see like this, like maybe 2 inches in either direction, like this chi aura that was around my stick. And I was wondering just how much chi can be stored in an item. Like, to what extent? Like, would the aura actually extend out, 10 feet or more? Or do you have any experience with that?
I don't, but there's like masters that have weapons and tools that they use for healing or whatever that they use all the time. They get infused with their energy tremendously. So yeah, you can. I mean, in the kung fu movies, you see people fighting with like little sticks against someone with a sword. Like they can do that. They can make something much stronger. They can make something much more fragile. So from doing the practice, it makes sense that it starts to accumulate inside there. Like I think most of you guys could probably, with your eyes closed, pick your wood block out from someone else's wood block because it has your energy in it. Yeah. So not sure how much you can hold. I think there's probably a limit to an extent. Yeah. Any other questions before we wrap up? Chat. Oh, Harold. Okay. Okay, we'll wrap up for today. We'll shoot for Monday. I'll hear back from Castle Hill, but I'm probably thinking we'll probably be mid-April when we have class. But
The A is AISD, Austin Independent Schools District.
okay, what about them?
I think they recently announced that they're extending the no kids at school till April 13th, I think.
Probably
Something
so.
like that.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably fall in line with that. But we'll see.
Somewhere around there. I'm not exactly sure of the date, but yeah.
I think I heard the 13th as well. So I'll keep you posted as I know more. So okay. Well, I'll catch you guys next time. Keep up the practice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Good to see everybody.
Good to see everybody.
Good to
Bye,
see
y'all.
y'all.